Look, there's no denying that Heath Ledger gave the performance of a short lifetime as the Joker. He stole every scene he was in. It's still talked about to this day. He put his own spin on an iconic character portrayed by an iconic actor before him. And for better or for worse, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was worse, Ledger's Joker spawned others to try to put their own spin on villains.
The red capes are coming.
Now, I still remember seeing The Dark Knight in theaters and coming out of it mesmerized by Ledger's Joker. You can call it pretentious, you can call it hyperbole, that's fine. But the fact is, the man exceeded expectations and shut down the naysayers. And he did it with rather minimal screen time too. Now, do you know anyone who has seen The Dark Knight and either didn't like Ledger as Joker or said it was just meh? Yeah, I haven't. And if you have, well, maybe you should find some new friends, because that's just not accurate. Now, sadly, as we all know, Heath Ledger passed away before The Dark Knight released. Obviously, it's very tragic, and I would have loved for him to be around to see the love he got playing a character that he put us all into, especially since nobody, and I'm in that category, was into the idea of that guy from Brokeback Mountain playing the Joker. And even though, contrary to what dipshit internet and YouTube detectives would like to believe, playing the Joker didn't make Heath Ledger go fucking mad or depressed or any of that. And it sure as shit ain't the reason he died. These fucking YouTube detectives. So it is a shame he died and he didn't get to see the success of his movie and the universal praise of his work. And as they say, the good die young. Yet we still have fucking no talent hacks that seem to live forever. And of course he didn't get to accept his Oscar for the Best Supporting Actor. And he was up against good actors too. We'll obviously get into Robert Downey Jr., but there was also Josh Brolin, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Michael Shannon in that category too. So it was overall stiff competition from actors that you've actually heard of. Now, these award shows, especially the Oscars, have been nothing filled with Hollywood weirdos and all that, but they got their huge egos, the fakest of the fake. It's nothing more than a grandiose circle jerk. And even back then it was too. It has been for decades, but at least back then we didn't mind watching for a few hours once a year. Now it's absolute garbage. Nobody gives a shit, and that's probably because nobody watches these films that they make anymore, and everyone's sick of the Hollywood twat rockets telling us how to live our fucking lives.
So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world.
But anyways, I digress. I could go on that forever. But back to the main point of this, when Heath Ledger won his Oscar posthumously, I was all for it. And he did deserve it. I still consider it the greatest acting performance in a superhero movie, and quite frankly, just one of the best acting performances I've ever seen, period. But then after the Oscars came and went, I decided to pick up a DVD of Tropic Thunder. Never seen it before, heard about it, obviously heard about Robert Downey Jr. and what he did in there, and holy shit, Robert Downey Jr. Tropic Thunder ended up being one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think it's one of the funniest. And Robert Downey Jr. stole the show, starting off showing him as a powerhouse actor as Kirk Lazarus. He takes method acting to a different level. Of course, it also depicts him as a guy with his own demons when he's not playing a character. And really, it's a nod to a lot of Hollywood types who are obviously insecure and emotionally unstable when they can't play pretend. And that's something I'm sure that Ben Stiller, who directed the movie, has seen firsthand. And it was also true to life, it seems, for Robert Downey as well, as far as the demons go. But to his credit, not only did he clean himself up, but he also seemed to be able to have a self-awareness of who he once was and ultimately was able to make fun of it. He just seemed to relish this role. Now, RDJ as Lincoln Osiris was nothing short of brilliant, but Downey in the movie in general was amazing. His portrayal of Lazarus in the beginning trailer with Tobey Maguire and the obvious Oscar bait film lets us know this man is a screen legend. Then we get to see Kirk's wild side when he's off left to his own devices. But really some of my favorite parts are when we see Osiris speaking with his castmates while on the different set pieces or on location. It's coming from the mindset of a pretentious, arrogant Kirk Lazarus being delivered in the tone, voice, and attitude of the black Lincoln Osiris.
Action Jackson can't cry, that's what's going down.
Not to mention one of the funniest lines I've ever heard that ultimately sums up the Kirk Lazarus type.
You guys all read the script, right? I don't read the script, script reads me.
Now, the first time I saw this movie, this part made me laugh almost harder than anything in a movie I've ever seen. It was just perfectly executed. Just like Heath Ledger, anytime Downey was on screen, you were captivated. Every line delivered in a perfect way for that character. There's some roles that you see an actor take over, and when it's all said and done, it's pretty unanimous they were the right choice. You got Bryan Cranston as Walter White.
You're goddamn right.
Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview.
I drink your milkshake.
Peter Falk as Columbo.
And one more thing. It'll just take a second.
And of course the two we're talking about now, Downey and Ledger. And some things are just perfect the way they are. No one is going to be able to duplicate Heath Ledger's Joker. No matter how hard they try. The Dark Knight trilogy was great, but it's this movie with the Joker that is the one that's always talked about. Now Hollywood's become unoriginal, and now they feel the need to remake the classics with a different spin on it, or a modern spin. Now, I mean, they're always going to be making Batman movies. And no matter who it is, whoever gets cast as the Joker, the bar is ultimately set with Heath Ledger and what he did. And no matter how hard they try, and no disrespect to Joaquin Phoenix, a little bit of a different animal, they're just not going to do better. It's the end of that story. Now, even back in 2008, 2009, there was some controversy with Robert Downey Jr., the whole blackface thing, all this and that. Obviously, fast forward 15 years later, this movie could not be made today, and if it was, we'd have a group of people pretending to be offended and how horrific and offensive and appropriate and yada yada yada, all that. I hope I get to see the day that the new and improved Tropic Thunder for modern audiences comes out, because that will be the one that really truly shows these fucksticks have no idea about anything. And by anything I mean writing, humor, acting, story, characters, you name it. And when it does come out, hopefully the true ability, talent, and performance of Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder takes center stage again. Because nowadays people are afraid to even acknowledge that movie with any sort of praise because they're so butthurt by it, at least publicly. But let's not forget, in 2009, for the 81st Academy Awards ceremony, Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this role in Tropic Thunder. So before everyone nowadays pretends to be devastated and hurt and fucking offended by everything nowadays, Robert Downey Jr. was acknowledged by Hollywood for this performance.
Acknowledge me.
The question is, did he deserve to win over Heath Ledger? Was Ledger really a slam dunk win? With his passing so young and unexpectedly before The Dark Knight even came out, it was pretty much a given that he would win once everyone saw this movie and what he did. And by no means was him winning a sympathy fuck. That man earned it, and he did deserve it. But had he not died and voters weren't swayed by that, could it conceivably have gone to Robert Downey Jr.? I think it could have. After seeing both performances several times, they're my two favorite movies, I would honestly give the nod myself to Robert Downey Jr. And that's simply because he had more to do in this movie, and he did have to show a little bit more range by really being two people into one. Either way, I have no issues with Ledger winning. And I have no issue if someone believes he should have won it over Robert Downey Jr. I just wish we had more movies and performances like this nowadays where a debate like that could actually happen. You know, until then, we're stuck with the dog shit today. So to kind of sum this up, both men were worthy of it. Both men deserved it. I don't know if it would have gone different had Heath Ledger not passed away. But after seeing them both, watching them both, and loving them both, if I had a vote, it would have gone to Robert Downey Jr. But man, they were both just iconic performances, and I wish we could see more of that. Alright, I gotta go. The old lady just polished off another box of wine, and she's looking at me. She wants me to do some weird stuff with her and her friends, so I gotta go.
Man, everyone's gay once in a while.